Going on YouTube, this is Aaron here with Day 5 Aquatics, just bringing you another update video of my 75-gallon office tank. Did a rescape on this tank this last week. I was in Evansville looking around in the different fish stores, picked up a couple more pieces of Malaysian driftwood. You see right there in the middle that piece, and then the one sticking up behind it. Took them home, or I guess this was last week. Took them home, soaked them for the better part of a week in just a tub with the treated water, hot water. Just changed the water every day until it got most of the tannins out. I mean, I didn't get all of them out, and it's still leaching some. By the end of the week, it looks, the tank's got a nice yellow tint to it, which doesn't really bother me. I kind of like the way it looks, and I know that, in a couple months it'll go away. Just keep doing water changes and it'll eventually go away. But I really like the way it looks now. I took out the other piece, the river driftwood piece that I had in the middle, just because, it didn't fit. It wasn't the same kind. And I wanted to kind of keep a theme going with it, keep the same kind of driftwood in there instead of just making it a hodgepodge. I really like Malaysian driftwood. I've got manzanita driftwood in my other tank. I've used just different pieces of like river driftwood and stuff, but I have to say manzanita or Malaysian driftwood is my favorite, just because it has kind of a craggy, rocky look to it almost. You usually get some really cool caves and stuff that you can create with it. It stacks really well. The piece I've got, over on the right hand side, I've had that piece for a long time. Absolutely love that, that hole right in the middle of it. I like the dark, the dark look to it. It makes a really cool contrast with the white sand. Malaysian driftwood is hands down my favorite. Yeah, it's when a piece doesn't sink right away. Most of the pieces are heavy enough that they sink right away, but when they don't, yes, most of the time it takes a long time of setting them in a tub and holding them down, pinning them down with rocks or whatever, getting them to eventually become waterlogged. It does take a while. Like that piece over on the right, I had it waterlogged, or I had it soaking for about 4 months in a tub. The first week changing the water every day. Every week after that, just changing it once a week. And it took forever. I eventually had to screw a piece of slate to the bottom of it. I think now it's been submerged in the tank for over a year. I think now if I took that slate out, it would probably stay submerged. I'm not going to do that just because I don't want to mess with it, but it took forever. It took a long time. The other 3 pieces in there, those sank right away, so it wasn't a problem. But and I've had other pieces though that I've had to soak for quite a while. They do leach tannins for a while, but again, to me that's not a big deal. I kind of like the look, and like I said, eventually it goes away. But I just love the character that you get with a piece of Malaysian driftwood. I can't really see it from the video right now. Well, you can a little bit, but between the 2 pieces on the left, you can see down at the bottom it makes kind of a nice little cave. The one big piece that I added in the middle has a giant hole through the middle of it. And if I wanted to get like a knife fish or something like that, it would be perfect for them, at least for the beginning. And I could widen the hole as the fish got bigger, make it a little bit deeper. But it's got a nice little kind of cavern that kind of runs through that whole piece. The piece on the left, the plecos have really chewed out the underside of it and made kind of a cave underneath that. There's kind of an entrance right there at the front, on the right hand side of that piece, where they can go in, and they've kind of made themselves like a cave, like hollowed out the inside of it, and it looks really cool underneath, and it gives them some place to hide. So yeah, again, my favorite driftwood, hands down, Malaysian driftwood. Love it. It's the easiest one, at least so far in my experience, my limited experience. I have to admit I haven't had a ton of experience with it, but my limited experience, I find Malaysian driftwood to be the easiest to attach plants to, specifically anubias. You see that piece on the left. It's got several different kinds of anubias attached to it. And that one I didn't have to even tie the pieces to. It just had enough nooks and crannies that I could just kind of run the roots down in and pull them down far enough that they would kind of stick on their own until they eventually grew in. And then the roots have an easy time growing through the wood, and they'll grow completely through a piece of wood and into the substrate that way. And so it's just super convenient for that. It looks really good. The plants crawl along the wood really well. So yeah, hands down, I think Malaysian driftwood is my favorite one, my favorite piece or favorite kind. There's a few stores in the St. Louis area, a few stores in the Evansville area that carry it, and just it's really easy to find a really nice piece and to make it look good in a tank. Um, and so, this tank, I'm really happy with the way it looks right now. I really like the way it's set up. Um, Eventually, the Anubis is going to grow in on the two pieces that I added, and that's going to look just fantastic on that. I've got some good pieces on there, and it's going to look really great once that grows in. And it's just this tank's going to just look fantastic. Um, I added some new fish. You see these filament barbs swimming around. There were four of them. Was at two different pet stores. Each one had two filament barbs there. One of them, one set, were considerably smaller than this one, and I thought they were fast enough, but they ended up getting eaten. I came in one day, and the lights kicked on, and I saw there were only two left, and I had the top covered pretty good, and so I'm pretty sure they got eaten in the middle of the night. Um, I'm gonna try and get some more. I had already tried to get in one of the stores to order me some more, and they weren't able to this last week. But I'm gonna try and get some more, find some more larger ones. I'll be in St. Louis next week. I'll be looking for those. I like the filament barbs. They get about to about 5 inches. They need to be in groups. I'm gonna try and get about 6 more because they need to be in a group. Because once they get bigger, they start picking on each other. But I think if I can find some larger ones, they'll be big enough and fast enough to stay away from the Jack Dempseys, and at least when the lights are on, the Jack Dempseys don't bother them. So, um, but yeah, I like them. They have cool personality. Add some activity to the tank. The Jack Dempseys are hiding right now because I had just scrubbed the glass. Put some Windex. Taken some Windex and scrubbed the outside of the glass. Oh, you can see one coming out. Well, kind of. That's the subdominant male or subordinate male, whatever you want to call it. He's pretty beat up. He's going to be going to a friend of mine here real soon. Basically, just waiting on him to come and pick him up because he's been getting picked on a lot by the male. Here comes the male out here right now. But yeah, so he's getting ready to leave, and then it'll just be the pair of the male and female in there. Dominant male. Yeah, there he is. He's showing off some good colors. I also added a new pleco this week. I added an Emperor pleco. I'll put some footage of that up in here so you can see him. But he's around 4 inches or so. Ordered him online off of a seller off eBay. And he came in, looks really good. Bigger than I had imagined, he was advertised. They advertised him around 3 inches. He's actually pretty close to 4 inches. So, but he looks fantastic, looks phenomenal. Not really that shy at all. Just depending on where he's at, he'll pop his head out a couple times throughout the day. And so, really like that fish. Anyways, this is what's going on with the tank. Just other than the new fish and the driftwood, everything else remained pretty much the same. But yeah, hope you guys like it. Thanks for watching. Feel free to check out my other videos. This tank has gone through quite a few changes over the years, so other videos are just different fish that I've kept in this tank, and my other planted tank I've got. So yeah, feel free to check out my other videos, and feel free to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great week.